Welcome. Here is another video about SMMware, software for handling sales, project management, operations, and more for small to medium-sized businesses. Today we'll discuss clients and jobs in SMMware. Okay, let's begin. Right now we're here on the home page. We'll move over to the Client Manager, and we can see the listing of current clients. In the filter, we have various status levels. Right now it's set for current clients. We can also look at past clients or clients which have sales leads. Next, let's look at a client profile. Here we can see a number of buttons, one for each job that is already in the system for this client. We can click on that to jump directly over to that job profile. And that job profile in turn has a button that jumps us back. Down below that, we see a single button for a current sales lead that's in the system. If there are more sales leads, we would simply have more buttons. Moving down the page, we can see that there's an area for entering a client representative. If you already have them in the system because you worked with them before, like in the case with an attorney, they would already be in this list. If you're working with a family member, they're probably new to the system, and you can add them using the plus sign, entering their details here. You can also indicate what the relationship is between the client representative and the client. Moving along, we have the Act as Reference dropdown. It starts off as unasked, and then later, once you've worked with them, hopefully you can talk to them and they'll say that yes, they're willing to act as a reference. Next, we have the 3 fields for who referred the business to you, and this level of granularity provides more detail and allows our referral report to answer more questions for you. Our first field is the highest level one for the category, and it could be something like newspaper campaign, real estate, something like that. At the lowest level, we have the person field. Next, we have the optional fields. The labels here are completely customizable. We have up to 12 fields, and the content here should be related to them as a person, as opposed to information that's more about a particular job. Below that, we have an area to enter their address when you first met them. That's their original or first address. If you have some locations that you work with on a regular basis, they can appear here in this drop-down. And when you select one, it will pre-fill the address for you, so that you just have to put in an apartment number or a suite number. If you have already moved them, there will be a section here called the current address, showing that you have moved them to this address, and it allows you to jump directly over to the job that was involved. This is not a place where you would edit the address that you moved them to. You would do that from within the job profile. Moving down the page, we have some file managers. This first one is a regular file manager where you would store non-sensitive information because all the employees in the company have access to it. So this might be photos of the home. Above that, we have the restricted file manager that only the higher level users can access, and this would be a place to store something sensitive like a signed contract which you have scanned to a PDF and uploaded. We have a separate video for discussing the file manager. Below that, we have tasks and notes and calls, and they also have a separate video to go into their details. Here in the address history, we can see each of the locations we know that they've lived in, starting with the first one where you met them, the original address, and then each job that you moved them is here in the system, ending with the job that you have ongoing where you're currently in the process of moving them. Now we're going to jump over to one of the jobs. This list of job types is completely customizable. Here we have the various status levels for the job, the most common being active and closed, but we have a few others for the in-between states. We can assign a team lead. We have something known as a status board. What you see here is some default text which we can modify, and the default text is meant to indicate which kind of information we would like to collect. This top section is where they're moving from, and it could be their original address or it could be a job where you've moved them, but it's wherever they're living now. And then below that we have the new address where you're moving them to, if moving is involved. You can just leave this blank if it's not. And we have our drop down of common locations. And for this job we also have our restricted file manager, regular file manager, our tasks, notes, and calls. Going back to the listing of jobs, let's take a look at that as well. When you come here, right now it's defaulting to showing you your current jobs, but it can also be set to look at your past jobs or your invoice jobs, various states. Let's go ahead and take a look at creating a fresh job. What I'd particularly like to touch on here is the different models that SMMware has for charging a client and for paying employees. If you're going to charge the same rate across the entire job for every hour, then that is a per job rate, and that's the client fee model shown here. If you're going to charge different rates depending on the kind of work being done or who is doing it, that is called using job codes or per job codes. This allows you to charge different rates for more skilled work, or you can charge more money for the owner's time versus a regular employee's time. Over here we have the associate pay model, and you can use the pay levels defined in the associate's profile directly, or you can have the pay levels attached to the job codes. Between these, we have a very flexible system for how you charge your clients and how you pay your employees. Now we're going to take a look at some of the configuration options. Going over to the admin menu and going down to settings. We'll start in section 5, clients, sales leads, and jobs. If you're always using a particular client fee model, you can set that as the default. The same is true for the per associate profiles. Over down the page we have the definitions for the various job types, and we can set a default rate that would apply if you are not using job codes. If you are using job codes, the rates are going to come from each particular job code. And speaking of job codes, in section 6, that's where they are defined. You can take your overall list of job codes and divide them up into levels and assign each job code to a level. That way you can do things like preventing the lower level employees from using job codes that are intended for the managers. And then down below the levels we have the individual job codes with the titles. You have a tooltip so that you can clarify if you feel that the name of the job code is not going to be able to define it fully. We also allow you to tag the pay levels that are going to be used, both for the weekdays and for the weekends. And as you scroll down the page, you can see the overall list of job codes that are currently available in the system. Moving down to section 11, we have our client custom fields. These are shown or hidden in rows of 4, and you can indicate which rows to show here. And then you can enter the labels to use here. We have a similar approach for the job custom fields. You'll notice that these custom fields are shared by the sales leads, and if you think about it, that makes sense because a sales lead and a job are basically two sides of the same coin. Again, there's up to 28 custom fields divided up into 7 rows of 4, and you can turn on or off a given row. And here are all the labels that are in the system for the various job custom fields. Lastly, we have section 14 for the status board. This is called status board ops or operations, which refers to your jobs. Here's where you can turn this status board on or off. You can set the default to text, and you can define your various keys. And that sums up our introduction to clients and jobs in SMMware. To find out more, visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SMMware for more videos about specific features of SMMware. You can visit our website at www.smware.com, or you can call us at 240-285-4619 with questions or to arrange a demo. We appreciate your time and hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.